So, Charlie,
Yes.
in a previous cold open to an episode of Very Reasonable Pilots podcast, I told you about a show I was watching and how my favorite character I knew was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will now reveal to you that show is Andor, because it's now finished. I'm not going to say the character because in case anyone hasn't seen Andor and wants to.
I should have thought it was Andor. I was trying to figure out what show it was. I don't know why my brain didn't jump to anything like nerd related. I don't know. I was like, is it Reacher? Is he talking about Reacher?
Fortunately, I don't watch Reacher. Anyway, it was Andor. And so I told you, I went through this whole rant about, like, I'm realizing that my favorite character has to die, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, oh, we create so many stories that we're so used to making these things, and we sort of figure out, plot devices pretty quickly and what has to happen in a character's thing. Yeah, that was a load of absolute crap because the character didn't die.
Oh, nice. He lived.
And it made complete sense that they didn't die. So I completely no idea what we're talking about.
So we're
Any
definitely
sort of expertise that we have doesn't exist.
So you're saying we're not like Nostradamus-esque TV writers? We can't just figure things out before they happen?
No. I don't know. The show looked like it was going one way, and I made that call after this one episode, said it on the podcast, and then like 2 or 3 episodes later, that situation was no longer present. And the person didn't have to die anymore, so it was okay. They resolved it.
So it's fun.
In another way that made sense.
Good? Is it good? Yeah. Are we happy with it? Or would it have been better if he had died? Or she? Or they? Maybe
I can't. Well, I don't want to spoil. I feel like if I say the person's gender, it would reveal it if you're watching Andor, so I'm not going to say that. But
yeah.
But they didn't die. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That show is, I really like Andor, great show, but and it does make me forget, because if you've seen Rogue One, you know that Cassian Andor is in it, and he dies at the end, right?
He dies horribly.
Spoilers for.
I love that ending. That is such a good ending to a Star Wars anything. I think it might be my favorite Star Wars sequel movie.
It is the best Star Wars sequel movie. By far.
I would say it's that, and then it's The Last Jedi. I really like The Last Jedi. I understand people don't, but I really do.
You actually, here's what's interesting. You don't like The Last Jedi. You think you do right now, but you don't. You don't. I watched that movie with you in theaters. You didn't like it when we walked out. I think you're forgetting parts of that movie, like the super long casino bit in that city.
Oh, I forgot about the casino bit. You're right.
You do not like that movie. We get
hated
it.
that
Everybody
casino
thinks
bit.
the final scene in the salt place with Luke looks cool and all that stuff, and the fight in the throne room looked cool as well. But the whole casino bit,
so cool.
Everything with Finn in that movie sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah,
absolute waste of time. There was cool scenes in The Last Jedi, but overall it was a bad movie.
It's not I would still say it's better. I do like The Force Awakens, even though The Force Awakens is basically just A New Hope.
Force Awakens is way better than.
It's a better straight ahead story, although I think I like the ending reveal that Daisy Ridley, what's her name? Rey. She doesn't have magic parents. I like that reveal. And you know what other reveal I like? Hello everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. How are you?
I'm good. I did have more Star Wars things to say, but I kind of figured it would distract from your cold open, so I didn't want to keep saying it.
I did too, but now, as soon as you said, you transitioned to the show, I forgot everything. I don't remember a single word. What I
it's like putting a car into a different gear, It's just like now I'm ready to talk about some fictional characters with some names I'm not going to remember.
Yeah, essentially. Well, I think I got some good names in here, actually. I kind of like the names. I've been doing some research on new names because I feel like I've been repetitive.
I get that same thing. I feel like I'm being repetitive with some of my names. So now I just start putting crazy fucking, I just start writing letters until it sounds name-ish,
Oh, see, what I do is I look up, like, I want like a French name, so I'll look up, like, you'll notice in this one, I'll look up French painters, and I'll just, like, pick last names and first names. Or if I'm, like, watching a movie or a TV show or reading a book, and I like the name, I'll, like, write it down and be like, I'll save that for later.
That makes sense.
You know, all good. Anyway, I have got a new show for you today. The title is Psychodelic, which you gave me last week.
Yeah.
Very
I really
fun
like that title.
Very, very fun title. I like it a lot.
I do have a confession to make about that title.
Did you steal it?
No, I didn't steal it. I wrote that title probably 2-3 months ago in my notebook because I wanted to do a show titled Psychodelic.
Oh.
And when you asked me to give you a title last week, I realized that I didn't have any more titles written down in my little notes app on my phone where I keep all your titles. And so I had to cannibalize my own title and give it to you. So
damn, I feel a lot of pressure.
It hurt my soul a little bit to give you Psychodelic because I think Psychodelic is a very fun title. But
it's a really good title.
I'm confident that you could do something with it that I wouldn't do. So I'm excited.
It's in the title when we switch to the new era of VRP where we give each other titles. This is in my top 2 favorite ones. This and the Fifth Corner are my favorite titles.
Those are 2 very good titles. I like your sentence titles, you know?
The sentence, well, I can't remember. Before the Nightmare Ends is long.
Before the Nightmare Ends is a sentence. I mean, when I'm saying sentence titles, I don't mean like sentence. I just mean, Splatterpunk Season 2, obviously.
That's
The Time Is Always Now. The Man on the Yellow Moon.
You know where I stole The Time Is Always Now from? Wait,
yeah, you told me it was.
Now?
I thought you stole No Fear, No Limits, No Equal from a documentary about a soccer player.
No, that was I stole that one from the documentary about Ayrton Senna, who's an F1 driver. But I like what you did with that one. That was a fun one with the superhero or the supervillain. It's interesting to because I associate that title with the documentary I watched, and you have no concept of that. So I gave it to you blankly, and seeing where you take it is interesting. That's what I like about our little title thing. But
that's why I like
have a
doing
show.
This. You have a show. You actually have an idea.
New thing that we're gonna get into here. Psychodelic. Did you? I guess since you originally wanted to use this title, and you still could in the future if you'd like to, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's not like
did you
we're
have
putting
an idea,
copyrights on anything.
or like maybe a slight idea that you were?
Well, whenever I hear that title, Psychodelic, the Inherent Vice, you know that movie with Joaquin Phoenix, the poster for that movie pops into my head, where it's like Joaquin Phoenix, he's got these big mutton chops and he looks crazy and his like head is kind of like swirling around with all sorts of colors, sort of like that classic Bob Dylan poster. So I was just thinking of like, it's about a cop and a criminal, it's about a psychopath and a drug-addled cop, but that's also kind of my modus operandi, right? Like, I love scumbag, drunk, alcoholic, drug addict cops, and I love crazy serial killers. I'm actually, in my own personal time, working on a comic book script that is about that exact thing, based off of a show that we have done. That's right. And I will reveal that to the listenership once I've finished the script, and I will post it, and they can read it and be like, this sucks. But that's besides the point.
Maybe we could do a special. Well, we'll read part of it and then
and then or something. It'll be great.
Well, I guess we
pay an artist.
Is it comic book script? I assume comic book scripts aren't that long, are they?
It's not that long. It's dependent. It's as many pages as there are pages in the issue, because each page is a new page. So even if you're like page 1, you only have like 3 things happen on the page, you have to go to an entire new page for page 2. Said page about 15 times in the last 5 seconds, but you know what I mean. Like it's not super long, and it's not the hard part is about like maintaining action, like making sure you're not having a character do two things in one panel because that's impossible to draw. But that's, it's a rough draft. If it's a first attempt at this, so I don't expect it to be very good.
Well,
but your title, Psychodelic, your show.
Yes. So, Psychodelic. I of course I really like this title. I went with a cyber futuristic trend for it. So basically, we are in the future, in a city called Vedo, 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 which means I see in Italian. You are aware. Anyway, in this world, everyone has heavy body modifications. It's a society where people like have robot arms and things like that, legs and stuff. But here's the thing: unlike you might have in a lot of this kind of media, when you have these like mechanical limbs and stuff, you have to take a lot of pain medication to be able to have it on you at all times. Like it's not having this robotic thing attached to you is not just it just melds perfectly with your skin. Your body is like constantly trying to reject it. Like if you put like a heart into somebody, like they could go into organ failure or like their organs.
Yeah, they have to generally be on some sort of immunosuppressant in order to make sure that their immune system doesn't reject the body part or like skin grafts and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like that except all the time. So if you have a robot leg, you have to take this medication your entire life. And as you go through your life, it gets more intense. So the way I wrote it out is that there's like one set of pills you have from 0 to 10, another set from 10 to 18, another set from 18 to 25. And for that age range, like those 3 sets of pills from 0 to 25, those are all government subsidized. So like you get them cheaper because you're like growing up. But after that, it gets expensive. 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 to 65, 65 and up. Like, those are all different pill ranges. And as you get older, the pills get stronger and stronger and stronger as your body gets, like, resistant to them. Yeah. So everyone's stuck in this, like, you constantly have to, right now you have your electric bill, you have your rent, and you also have your drug bill. You have to get these pills every month or take them every day. Just so you can, survive with your arm or something, right?
Yeah.
Now, in this world, there are people that are called psychos who reject the painkillers. They're very religious about it. They want to live with the pain and the suffering of their body rejecting these arms. So it's not like you're not going to die because you're not taking this medication. But, well, you might die because the pain is so intense. But it's not like your whole body's going to shut down. So these people just live with the constant searing pain. And they're very religious about it. And like, they're they hate people that take the medicine and try to like suppress the pain. They're like, you want to suffer. And their motto is the pleasure of pain, which I think would be a great title. Pleasure of pain. For like
very Hellraiser-esque little, like those people who during the plague, the people who the flagellists who would whip themselves, thinking that the plague was thinking the plague was a punishment from God, and so they had to punish themselves.
It sounded like you were trying to say flatulence, which is
the flatulence. Now that's a title, the flatulence. Yeah. I wonder what you'll be doing next week.
Yeah. Anyway, most people are modified and medicated. Only very few people are only flesh, and that's the rich. Because basically it's the future. There's this really strong super bacteria, which if you get infected by, you have to just cut off the limb. So a lot of people, even really young people, have like prosthetics and have like these metal, ligaments because they got infected by this bacteria, even like super early, like a baby. Like they get their toe gets scratched and like they have to get a new toe because you have to cut it off because of the super bacteria. And only the really rich can afford the rigorous antibiotic treatment so they can keep their limbs
human fully.
Yeah. And this antibiotic treatment and the medicine that suppresses your body rejecting the metal limbs made by the same company called NetLife Pharmaceuticals. So they have this big line of medications that increase in strength as you get older, as I explained, from 0 to 65 plus. You'll be taking a range of medications that get stronger as you go. And let me get into the characters. So our protagonist, Octavia, she is a corporate espionage agent, a freelancer. Very shy and reclusive in her personal time, but can be very social and gregarious for her act. So, like,
okay,
you ever, like, somebody who can be very social at work, like they can put on a facade, say if they're like an actor, maybe. They can, like, pretend to be very social and everything, but in their personal time, if they're just being themselves, very reclusive, don't really like to talk to anybody, keep to themselves.
She's like that, that face people do, especially service employees, where they'll be smiling, right, and talking to someone and really look engaged, and then as soon as that person walks away, they just drop into a frown.
Yes,
like it's
that
just
is exactly
a full
yeah,
mask.
That's exactly
yeah.
it. Yes. It's just, it's a whole, you're just doing it for the job. Her family disowned her when she was pretty young because she chose to get cybernetic enhancements. So her family they're not psychos, but they're somewhat wealthy and are religiously against cybernetic enhancements. They'll get, like, if they need a prosthetic, they'll get the cheapest one available, or they'll just live without the limb.
The limb,
they won't get they're very religious about it. So they're not like the psychos who get the enhancement and live with the pain. They just live without the limb.
They're more like the Amish.
Kind of like that.
All right.
Yeah. Then we have the Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor is the leader of the psychos. He's this prophetic figure who wants the whole city to abandon the medication. He says they are dulling themselves and missing out on the pleasure of pain. So he's this very preacher, prophetic, crazy figure that's kind of like the boogeyman, one of the boogeymen of this city.
The boogeyman?
Boogeyman?
Not the boogeyman. The bogeyman. That's what you said.
Yeah. Is that all right?
It's boogie. It's not bogey. Bogey's like a booger.
No, boogie
right?
is like a booger. Bogey is like a bad guy.
No.
Yes.
What?
Right? Isn't it Bogeyman?
It's the boogeyman. He's the boogie. He goes boogie. Boogie, boogie, boogie.
I am
boogie.
genuinely not. Okay, so bogey is Bogey. You're right. It is boogeyman. Bogey. I always assumed it was bogey because bogey means bad, like a bogey, bad guy.
Yeah.
Like
All right. Well, this is.
Well, I don't know.
This is totally unrelated to the show. So you've got Octavia and the Witch Doctor.
Like if we watch a freaking like Top Gun or something, they're like, we got a bogey on our 6 or something, right? That's the line.
But that's
Tom Cruise says that all the time.
But that's like cop shit. That's like airplane people. Do you know how to fly an airplane? Do you speak in 24-hour time? No, you're like, it's 3. Know. You don't go, it's fucking 1,500 hours. You know.
Well, says the guy in another country where they do use the 24-hour
Yeah,
time.
I know, it's so infuriating. Anyway, but go on.
Next, we have Governor Twombly, which I believe is a name I've used before. Which I didn't realize until now.
That's a sick name, though.
Governor Twombly. Governor Twombly is a fat politician with a robotic finger that he claims links him to the masses. I wrote a little note in here that's supposed to be revealed in the show, but I don't actually think I have it written in the pilot or my ending plan. But the robotic finger that he has, that he like links him to the masses, he's a man of the people. It's just a sleeve that he puts over his pinky. He really doesn't have any robotic limbs.
I was gonna say it's gonna be his pinky. He's just gonna slide it off, or maybe it's like he lost a fingernail when he chipped a fingernail and he put that on, just painted on a thing, robot.
But it's all just a fake because he's piece of shit. Then we have the NetLife, which is the company. NetLife is this big government-funded, subsidized pharmaceutical company which has a monopoly on the pain medicine. Very incredibly wealthy, powerful, elite, and they're removed from the corporate warfare of this world. So this is a cyber future thing where there's corporate, shenanigans going on. I like those kind of situations, like what is it, Johnny Mnemonic, and a lot of
the Lawnmower Man
shows that do this, where this corporate warfare.
Yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk has all these. The like game has the fourth corporate war, and they also have the immunosuppressants because the body rejects the mods that you put in the game. So, you know, I love a Cyberpunk.
I didn't actually know that. I didn't know
war
that. That's very interesting.
Fight.
It's not like the companies aren't like at war with each other. They just hire people, like for example Octavia, who will like steal stuff and will go in and maybe like assassinate a scientist or something.
Corporate
not like full scale
shit.
Tanks and stuff, but like stealing stuff and messing with people. That kind of stuff.
Cold War. There's a corporate Cold War happening.
Yeah, it's a bit more. The government is more well structured and strong and stable than in the Cyberpunk universe or any of these other ones. The CEO of NetLife is Sharif Suleiman, who is a ruthless, very reclusive, mysterious CEO, leader of this shadowy corporation, and he is the ultimate boogeyman of conspiracy theories. So anytime in this universe when there's somebody like there's a bombing or something, everybody always blames it on him. They're like, somehow he's behind this. You know, it's all just a plan of NetLife. NetLife's behind everything, especially the more like the psychos and like the more crazy people of this universe just blame everything on NetLife, and they think they're behind everything. Every election, every assassination, everything, they think they're somehow got their hands in it. They're like the Illuminati or anything like that of this world. Not to say that they are actually behind everything, which is not necessarily the case. But everyone thinks they are. Everyone thinks they have control of everything.
It's like Amazon, where we all just assume something fucky happened. Probably Amazon had something to do with it, or Apple.
Is that what you assume? You assume Tim Cook is behind everything?
Yeah. Don't you?
I don't know. Tim Cook doesn't look like he does much besides make okay. Well, actually, I was gonna say okay TV shows, but they're actually pretty good.
I've heard nothing but good things about the Apple shows, or the Amazon shows are fucking solid. It kind of makes me. It takes the wind out of my sails a little bit when I talk shit on Amazon.
I wouldn't throw Amazon under the solid category. I watched Rings of Power. Nothing special.
Oh
there.
Yeah, I didn't watch that shit. I mean, Invincible's good, The Boys is good, the Fallout show is pretty good, and I like Batman Caped Crusader,
Yeah.
So, some of the shows are pretty good.
Next we have Reynaud, who is Octavia's older brother, very sickly, thin, walks with a cane. He runs a clinic for people who can't afford medication, or have lost limbs and fighting the bacteria for poor individuals. He's the only one of Octavia's family that still associates with her.
Okay. Oh, are we gonna do the thing, like, in the opening episode, are we gonna do a situation where she, like, gets injured, she has to go to him, and he's, like, sewing her up, and they're talking about the family and stuff? I love that scene. I always love when they do that. Yeah,
exactly. Way to spoil it, Charlie. I haven't even gotten to the end of the world building. Just giving away what's gonna happen. All right.
No, I'm sorry.
Next we have, I'm gonna give some of the more minor people real quick, and then we'll get into the pilot. We have U-Chip, which is a high-class cybernetic enhancement manufacturer, whose CEO is called Edgar Degas. And then we have Boxo, who's like the wholesale cyber supplier. So U-Chip is like, what's a nice clothing company?
Supreme or fucking Fred Perry.
U-Chip is like Tommy Hilfiger, and Boxo is Walmart.
All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like Supreme's kind of like I don't know, like trendy young people stuff, This is like, they're like classy. They're like what?
Yeah. This is like a Rolex. This is like
U-Chip is like what upper middle class people would buy, or like middle class people have like one thing in their family and they really treasure it or something. I don't know if Tommy Hilfiger really fits into that. I don't really have a lot of Tommy Hilfiger stuff.
I don't either.
Maybe I should pick somebody else. I don't really know a lot of clothing companies.
Yeah, me neither.
It doesn't really work very well.
Coco Chanel.
U-Chip is like going to a tailor and getting a suit. Okay. Like an actual tailor. Yeah. And Boxo is going to the department store and getting a suit off the rack. How about that?
Okay, that makes sense.
Men's Warehouse versus Savile Row in London. So, high class, not so high class, which is important for the first episode, because that's, we're about to get into that. So, Episode 1. A businesswoman walks into an ornate hotel and goes up to the reception desk. She checks in as Natalie Stroud and says she wants to clean up before she sees her boss and wants to drop off some stuff in her room. The hotel concierge says the computer system is down and she'll have to manually open her door with a biometric scan. So the concierge sends a bellhop up with her, who, as they open the hotel room, instantly knocks her out. The bellhop is none other than Octavia, who then ties her up, transfers her Natalie's palm print onto a glove, and dresses up in a suit and business attire. So, she also scans Natalie and sees that she's got heavy cybernetic enhancements all over. Like, if this girl, if she wasn't able to catch her by surprise, Natalie would have absolutely messed her up. Which is not too, unsuspected, because they're in the world of corporate espionage, and Natalie is someone important, as we'll get into shortly. And as Octavia is scanning her, she opens her comms, and we can hear someone over the comm network, who's Cicely, who is is like the handler, sort of, for this scheme, this mission.
Yeah.
And Cicely's like running through the diagnostic of Natalie and says, like, they're getting some weird results. There's not like a whole lot of, not like any medication in the system, and the cybernetic enhancement look kind of strange. So it's kind of likely that this person was probably on their last legs, desperate, for this job, and needed to really get this deal done so they could afford their medication.
So she was just walking around in horrific pain.
Yeah, essentially. And so she is chatting with Octavia's chatting with Cicely and getting a clear idea of where she needs to go next. And she goes down to the meeting room where she meets 3 very nervous scientists who are huddled in this big conference room. And she walks in all confident. Octavia, she's playing the part, acting like she's this Natalie Stroud person. And the scientists are all very shaky, unsure, constantly looking around, feeling very nervous, feeling like somebody's watching them. And then in through the door walks this massive, huge bodyguard, who Cicely panics over the comments. Like, that's fucking Friedrich Graves, a.k.a. the Iceman, this deadly hired gun, who everyone thought was dead after he pulled off a hit on NetLife, the big, pharmaceutical company. And Cicely is, like, very nervous. Like, why is this guy here? This is, this everything looks smooth until right now. Like, now this could be a serious problem.
Yeah.
This massive dude. But Octavia, she stays calm. She doesn't portray any weakness as this big bodyguard, like, sort of looks her up and down, and then goes to the other room with, like, the other side of the room with the scientist. It seems like, Octavia has passed the test. So the deal is very nerve-wracking. The scientists are kind of forgetting everything. There's all these, like, passphrases they're supposed to exchange and stuff, but the scientists are sort of jittery, and they hand her this case, and then they, like, take it back, and they're unsure of what to do, and they're all arguing with each other. This is very clearly their first time in the world of corporate espionage, and they're very nervous about what they're doing, constantly chattering about the case and the virus. They keep saying the virus over and over again. And Natalie is like Octavia is like very trying to keep it together, but she's getting sort of riled up inside about how this deal is going and unsure of what she should do and how she should keep things together. And Cicely's trying to coach her, like, just keep pressing them, just keep going forward, stay in the act, don't panic yet, don't just grab it and run. We need to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And outside the room, they can hear a lot of, like,
you might
footsteps and movement as well. So she's feeling the pressure. Like, she doesn't know if the deal's gonna fall apart. She doesn't know if maybe Natalie Stroud has woken up. Just needs to get this deal done. Needs to get out of here. So they're finally about to exchange it. She hands them the money. They hand her the case. But they hold on to the case and they ask her for the passphrase. And obviously Octavia has no idea. And Cicely's like, "You need to stall. You need to stall. I'll sift through Stroud's data, see if I can find what the passphrase is." And Octavia is like panicking, trying to just hold it together, trying to argue with them and be like, you guys are clearly a mess. Let's just get this done. You have the money. Let's go. And they're like, They're panicking. They're arguing with each other about whether or not she needs the passphrase, whether they remember what the correct passphrase is. The bodyguard, this big hulking man, the Iceman, is getting annoyed by this whole thing and is kind of looking out, looking through the blinds out into the hallway, and is telling them to hurry up. And as Cicely finally yells, "I've got it," over the radio, that's when the door of the room bursts open and a psycho with a bomb strapped to his chest comes inside, yells pleasure is pain, and blows up.
Oofed.
Massive explosion in this hotel. We probably cut to an exterior shot as this huge explosion pops open. Octavia is knocked down. She's still got the case in her hand, but she's burnt a little bit, and she's injured and all confused with this fiery wreckage around her. As she opens her eyes, there's like tons of psychos running in, all getting absolutely massacred by the Iceman. Several of the scientists, or two of the scientists, are dead. One's like holding the other, like crying. Huge absolute mess. Scenes. There's sirens going off in the distance. Absolute madness. And the Iceman is, absolutely just crunching these psychos that they're running at him with guns and all this crap. And Octavia is like crawling forward, and she gets to the case, which is like kind of farther away from. I think I said it's still in her hand. It's not. It's like farther away. She crawls up to it. She grabs it, but somebody, as she grabs hold of the handle, somebody steps on the crate, and she looks up, and it's the witch doctor. The ultimate psycho boogeyman of this world, who we'll probably see on like wanted posters as we're coming in or something, and we'll hear like maybe a news broadcast in the background of this horrific guy, and maybe there'll be some conversation with Cicely about his movements or whatever.
And he probably looks real gross too, I bet. Like he's all fucked up. I don't know why. I was imagining like all of his internal organs sort of being visible through the metal. Like he's just like a man, on the inside, and every inch of him that should be visible is metal, except for maybe his face.
Yeah, his face definitely has to be clear. I don't know who should play this guy. Somebody.
Willem Dafoe. That was my first.
Willem Dafoe could definitely play him. That would be a good one. I was thinking Bryan Cranston, but it doesn't. It would be a weird role for him. Willem Dafoe.
He's not that
Andy Serkis. There we go.
Andy Serkis would be incredible.
Andy Serkis would be great. Anyway,
you have been watching Andor.
I have. So steps on the briefcase, looks down at her, and says, like, he sort of laughs and looks at her and says something that she can't really hear, and steps off the briefcase and starts shooting at the Iceman. And she's able to pick it up and start running. So she scrambles down the steps, out of the place, still fighting going on behind her. As, like, we can see the bit, like, behind her in the building, like, people getting absolutely ripped to shreds by the Iceman, and cops pouring in, and psychos everywhere. She's scrambling out of this horrific place, and she goes to a clothing store where she changes and tries to patch herself up a little bit, like, in the changing room, and then she very poorly stumbles to her brother's clinic to get patched up, and this is where we can have that nice family moment that you were talking about earlier. Where they could talk about their family, and he can,
Well, I'm imagining the
slightly
scene
ridicule her for her pain and like what the risk she's taking and that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm imagining that she's it's raining, right? She's injured. She's holding her side. She's got the briefcase in one hand. She's bleeding everywhere, right? Blood's coming out of her mouth and all over her, and she stumbles up to this door and like slams her hand into it. We don't reveal the upper shot. We think it's going to be Cicely, right? And then you're expecting this big, like, cool cyberpunk shit to happen, and this little old guy, like, he's not old, but like this very frail, weak man with, like, maybe he's missing a leg and that's why he has the cane or something like that. Like, this little guy shows up, and she collapses in front of him, and he just kind of sighs and pinches like the top of his nose, and I was like, again, come on, Octavia, help her in, right? And then we see, like, maybe he has, like, little robot helpers that get her all set up, and then she's just, like, laughing, giggling to herself as they're chatting, and she, like, coughs up blood, and he's like, oh, that corporate espionage life. That's really treating you well, huh? Really glad you gave up your whole family for it, aren't you? And she, like, laughs and is like, yeah, but the money's worth it. And he's like, as he, like, puts the needle in, she, like, twitches. It's like, ugh. She's like, yeah, money really does seem worth it, doesn't it? You know, because he's disappointed in her, but he still loves her.
Yeah, I think he's maybe slightly more supportive of her, but is definitely worried about the risks she's taking, especially when he hears about the Iceman being there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's very concerned. So
maybe she cannot know who he is. Like she's like, and then this really huge guy was there, right? Cicely said he was the ice block, the ice machine, the Iceman. Yeah, the Iceman. And then that's when that's when he kind of loses it a little bit, because he's like, do you know how many people I've treated, right, who've gotten broken limbs, or like had their limbs ripped off, broken jaws, right? The number of people this guy has put on my operating table is supreme, right? Like, watch yourself, you know? And maybe that's when it goes to being a little bit less supportive, you know? Because he's scared for her.
After this, she'll stumble home, get a rest, briefcase handcuffed to her wrist, and in the morning she'll wake up and she'll like get dressed, get prepared, you know, maybe get some nice breakfast or something. Like, everything is calmed down at this point. It seems like it's success. Everything seems like it's okay. We had that chaotic moment, but now she's back into her role, knows she's gonna get paid a lot. So it's maybe like her rent is due, and she's like telling the person like, oh, don't worry, I'll have it soon.
Yeah.
And the landlord's like, get it, Octavia. Can't be covered for you again here. You gotta pay on time, blah, blah, blah. So she goes out to the motel where she's supposed to make the drop. But there's no, and she goes up to the desk and rings the bell, and she sits there, looking around, maybe watches the news for a little bit. Rings the bell again, still nothing. Getting kind of frustrated. Looks at her watch, pulls out this little notebook that she has that has the key phrases that she's supposed to say. Like, there's this little thing, a little passphrase she's supposed to exchange with the concierge, but the concierge is still not there. Very weird. So she rings the bell again, gives up, starts walking down the hallway, and there's the next part of the passphrase. She's supposed to knock on the door in a certain way. But she doesn't know the room number because the concierge wasn't there. She's just knocking on every door with that certain pattern. And then she'll open it and look inside and apologize to whoever's in there. Though I say that, but there's no one in any of the rooms. Every room is unlocked and there's nobody inside. So she's just getting confused at this point. And she keeps going down the motel, every single room. And there's one room at the very end of the hallway. She finally gets to it, opens the door, expecting another empty room, but inside it is just covered in blood everywhere. Just streaks and streams of blood all over the place, torn apart body parts, absolute mess. It looks like these people went through a blender. It's horrific inside. And she pulls out her gun, starts walking in carefully, scanning around, and she hears some movement in the closet. So she fires a shot at the closet, and inside there's a scream, and she can hear her voice saying, please no, and she opens the door, and it's Cicely in the closet, who comes out panicking after seeing her, claiming they thought it was new tech. They didn't know what it was, and Cicely's absolutely panicking. Octavia's trying to calm down, like what is going on? What's happening? But Cicely's absolutely hysteric and is freaking out and saying we didn't know. And then Cicely looks down and sees the briefcase handcuffed to Octavia's wrist and absolutely loses it and punches Octavia in the face, and they start scuffling around. Octavia has the upper hand in this fight. Cicely isn't much of a fighter.
Yeah, he's kind of a pussy. He's the man in the chair.
So Cicely gets her crap kicked in after. Well, Cicely will have the advantage at first because Octavia is just kind of confused and it's yelling at Cicely what are you doing here? Why? Stop! What's going on? You got just explain to me what's going on. And eventually Octavia will get annoyed with what's going on and will just absolutely knock her to the floor, and is dusting herself off and is again saying just tell me what happened. And Cicely crawls to the bedside table to help herself up, and just as Octavia looks down, Cicely pulls a gun out of the top drawer and is like moving it around like faster than Octavia can react, and is gonna shoot Octavia. And just as the gun becomes level with Octavia's face, she gets squished. Cicely does. The ceiling caves in, and a giant hulking man, the Iceman, pancakes Cicely into a puddle on the ground. Horrific scene. Blood squirts all over Octavia's face.
Eyeballs probably shoot out of his head.
Cicely's a girl. I keep saying that, but you keep
sorry.
missing it. So Cicely, non-existent anymore.
Nope, Cicely
Iceman,
is now squished.
a
Sicilian
ceases
pancake.
to be. Ex-Cicely. Anyway, Iceman in the room. This hulking, partially metallic, partially man, legendary hitman figure. Now face to face with Octavia, who's absolutely covered in blood, with the briefcase in her hand. And the Iceman just looks at her, then looks at the briefcase, and then looks at her again. And then starts to raise his arm to, like, fire a shot. And Octavia just sprints out of the room just as a laser, like, rips through the wall, blowing out, like, a whole side of the building.
Oofed.
Epic escape ensues as Octavia is running away, just trying to get out of the wreckage and the carnage and escape this metallic monster man. She's really only able to get out because of all the carnage that's created. Obviously, the police are there and start to create more chaos as the Iceman's trying to, like, rip through them to get to her, but she's able to finally escape because of all the commotion.
Yeah.
And she's injured, she's bloody, she's freaking out, confused, and like how this happened. And at that moment, she gets into like an abandoned building, and she's like sweating, like looking outside, making sure the Iceman's not following her. And she'll open the briefcase, and she'll see inside is this big orange canister, and beside it there's a little blinking device, and she picks it up. It's a tracker. Squishes it immediately. Is panicking. She realizes she has to move, so she grabs the briefcase, gets to another somewhat safe place, and is like freaking out, and cleans herself up a little bit, puts on like a change of clothes that she finds in this like old abandoned apartment, and heads home, where she finds her place is absolutely torn asunder, and she starts panicking because she realizes it's been tracking her this whole time. Her place is destroyed, where she just went was destroyed, and she realizes that like she also went to her brother's place.
Oh shit.
So she goes to her brother's clinic and finds it absolutely, completely torn apart, ripped to shreds, bodies everywhere, and her brother right beside the operating table, nearly torn in half. And she just goes up to him and falls down to her knees and starts to cry. And as she's breaking down, just sad, confused, angry, she hears a voice behind her. And before she turns around to look, we cut to black, to the credits. End of episode 1.
Ooh.
So, that is the pilot of Psychodelic.
I like it.
I have been going kind of long, so I'm just going to tell you what the ending is in the story from there. So, where the show goes from here is a journey of revenge. The voice behind her is none other than the Witch Doctor, the leader of the Psychos, and who's going to help her take down her brother's killers, the Iceman, who she'll learn is not dead, or was not on a hit to, didn't die on a hit to take down NetLife. He works for NetLife, and he's been, that like story was concocted to sort of hide him from until they needed him. He's like this ultimate corporate espionage agent for them, who just works for this big pharmaceutical company and is only deployed on like super intense, highly valuable jobs. And these scientists that he was helping, he was not actually helping them. He sort of pretended, like through a intermediary, they thought they hired him, but he was really just doing it just so that he could get this virus. So NetLife wants this virus, which is in this orange canister, because the virus is essentially a stronger, so the bacteria that's been created in this world that makes so everyone has to get these limbs, this is a stronger version of that. And it was made by these scientists, and they were trying to sell it to a cybernetic enhancement company, who want to like move into the market of high-class cybernetics for the ultra-wealthy. So they want to destroy the market for NetLife, who have exclusive control over the ultra-rich, who all want to stay flesh, right? And they can do that because they can afford this antibiotic treatment. But if they can the antibiotic treatment no longer works because there's a stronger, more powerful bacteria, then they'll have to start buying these super high-class cybernetics, which not a lot of people can afford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the whole corporate scheme, and that's why this, the Iceman was pretending to be their bodyguards, that he could get more information. The reason he didn't just take it right away is because he wanted to find out who was buying it as well, so we could destroy them and make sure they don't know anything about how to create this bacteria. So...
Okay, so, yeah. All right, I think I get it. Mm-hmm. I understand the corporate scheme.
Now, here is the later reveal, is that, as I told you, this is kind of like what we'll get in, like, the second and third episode, and that's why Octavia is going to work for the witch doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But later we're going to learn that Natalie Stroud, that person she knocked out in the hotel room, she didn't have medication on her because she was broke and really needed this work. She wasn't have medication in her system because she was a psycho, and she actually works for the psychos. She works for the witch doctor.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
The witch doctor had infiltrated this cybernetic company and wanted to steal this virus so that he could use it to make sure, they could use it to make sure everybody was infected with this disease and everybody felt the pain. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the first step. Even the rich are not, can't be exempt from the pain and the suffering. And if they could do this big hit job on NetLife, they could possibly, cripple their ability to sell pain medication as well. So that's what this whole scheme is. So,
all right.
The witch doctor
when he said that thing that she couldn't really hear, he probably said, "You're not Natalie," or "You're supposed to be Natalie," or "That's what happened to Natalie. Some corporate spy took her out," something like that.
Well, it's actually going to be more about he realizes the opportunity because now he's like I need you alive or something like that. I don't know exactly what the phrase is going to be, but he needs her alive because he's essentially using her to destroy NetLife and get this so he can use this virus to
make
destroy them and make everyone. Yeah, exactly. And so now.
Yeah.
We've got this interesting situation where eventually she'll learn this in, like, the final episode when she'll storm this NetLife headquarters with the psychos, and she'll meet Sharif Suleiman, the CEO of NetLife. And that's where he'll reveal the real truth to her about all this stuff that I just told you, that the witch doctor is really behind most of the stuff, and the witch doctor is the real person that killed her brother because he needed her to be on his side.
Yeah.
Because the witch doctor, he's got all these psychos at his disposal. He's got all this manpower, but he doesn't have a whole lot of really experienced corporate killers like her.
Yeah.
And so he needs a real strong agent. And if somebody can survive the Iceman twice, that's a perfect test of, like, somebody that he needs, right?
Mm-hmm. It's like a peasant army versus, like, having like specialists.
Yeah, exactly. So he used her to get here, to get to the HQ. He's got the virus. I forgot to mention the Iceman is going to steal back the virus in that second encounter. I think I made a mistake when I said that. But so they have to get the virus back. They have to break down NetLife. And so they get into this final room. It's just her, the witch doctor, and Sharif Suleiman. And she's conflicted in this moment, like, not sure if Sharif's lying to her or not, and confused by, like, the witch doctor. And the witch doctor is kind of revealing that, like, what he's saying is true, but is trying to convince her. Like, she's lived a lot of time with the psychos now. They're not all absolutely crazy, but they are kind of fucked up and crazy. So it's hard to know what to do. And she's eventually going to decide to kill the witch doctor and spare Sharif so that he can destroy the virus. This ultimate ending where she doesn't really feel like she got. I want the ending to be you don't really feel like it's the right thing in the end. Like, it doesn't feel like the good guys won because the CEO survived, but the future that would have been the psychos is not gonna happen. So it's slightly better. She got her revenge, sort of, but NetLife is still gonna get away with what they're doing, and
Well, I think
things are
that's
slightly
kind of
better, but
how
it still kinda
all
sucks.
cyberpunk stories sort of have to end. Like, I feel like if a cyberpunk story ends with the corporate bad guys losing, it kind of misses the point of cyberpunk. That's why all of the cyberpunk stories that we've ever done beforehand that like are an attempt to address the actual like bad guys of the world that we made never end with the bad guys losing, you know? Like the hate ends with the city falling into destruction. You know, Good Luck and Get Fucked ends with our main character dying and the mom going to prison, but the daughter gets to live, you know? So it's just sort of,
Yeah.
I think that's the right call that she is making and you are making as the storyteller, to have her not kill both of them and then it's a utopia, you know? It's just, it's the best of a bad situation, which is very cyberpunk.
Maybe we'll have an end credit scene where instead of destroying the virus, they put it in like a sealed facility. Label it like the ending of that Indiana Jones with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they put it in a big warehouse.
Figured that you were going to end the show with a final confrontation, obviously, between Octavia and the Iceman, where she like traps him in a cryogenic facility, where they're like a cryogenic prison that puts him like under the ground, frozen in ice for like 1,000 years, you know? And they would do something similar with the virus, you know? Like, that's how they store things in this universe, is they just freeze them and put them underground. And so they're, like, fighting. They have a fight in the cryogenics facility. And, like, she turns a cell on so it'll, like, defrost in 10,000 years and kicks him into it. And he's like, no! And he gets frozen, you know, and sent down. And she, like, chips off a piece of his finger or something like that just to be a dick.
That's good. I like that. I forgot to explain my idea for the fight between them. That is equally as good as what I'm about to say. So either work. But I was thinking like a kind of Mountain versus the Mountain versus Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones sort of fight. But it ends with, instead of her getting her head popped like Pedro Pascal did, she stabs the virus into him.
Ooh, that's good.
Like,
and
as she's getting like choked out on the ground, like panicking, arms like flailing, she'll grab like the virus and she'll inject it into him, or at least part of it into him, and he's like searing in pain, and his limbs are all exploding and glitching out. He's like just shriveling up and screaming.
It's the first time that we ever see this dude kind of not like, maybe we'll only ever see him emote like happily, like I'm happy I get to murder these people, or just like kind of monotone. And then you see him like weeping and sobbing and crying and like begging for help, and she just kind of looks at him and laughs, because she still thinks that he murdered her brother at this point.
Oh, you know what would be interesting here? With the freezing thing, maybe she thinks the virus has been destroyed because she injected it into him and he died. And the end credit scene will be the CEO, Sharif Suleiman, freezing Iceman because he's got the virus still alive in him and he's trying to like protect the virus.
There we go. Taking both of our ideas and making them into one good idea, because we each had half of a good idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, but I like that show. I think you did right by my title, Psychodelic.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the best compliment I can give. So thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Cloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat, and remember, we will be here next week with a brand new televisual series titled... what's the title gonna be again?
Your title for next week is... We've already went over this, so there's no need to give numbers. It is... The Bureau of Informal Investigations.
Yes, it is. Hoo-hoo. This was a tough nut to crack, but I think I'm cracked
excited for it. Oh.
I think.
Okay. Well, I look forward to what you're going to do. I expect something interesting. I don't know what it's going to be. Is it going to be future? Is it going to be contemporary? Is it going to be the past? Who knows?
Who knows?
But we'll find out next week
on the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. Thank you all for listening, and have a good night.